Hey, welcome to Rust Revival Garage. My name is Tim. Basically, I just heard that the Power Tour locations have been set, and I thought this might be my first chance to ever do Power Tour. Now, I would love to be able to do it in the Pontiac, the 68 Pontiac, but as you can see, it still has some work to be done. I basically freshened up the engine a bit. It's almost ready to go back in, but I do need to get this all cleaned and painted. But the problem is it's only 4 months away. So I don't think I can have this ready to go for a 5-day, 1,500 to 2,000 mile run in that short amount of time. But what I was thinking was that I might actually take my 1985 Chevy C10 Silverado. This one should be ready to go. I mean, there's a lot of things that I still need to take care of, little small things here and there, but it's a running, driving truck. It's got a brand new Blueprint 350 in it. It's got a brand new Gear Star transmission in it. I mean, everything is really good to go. But the problem that I've been having is, of course, my timing. Made several videos on it so far, and I basically have been trying to figure out what's going on. I put an air fuel vacuum gauge up on this engine, several videos now, and cannot figure out why I'm not getting a good vacuum reading. So I've tried, somebody said, hey, change your ignition module and your distributor out. Hey, there's a vacuum leak. Hey, there's this. Somebody, several people mentioned that it might be a valve problem. So I figured I better check that out, because if I do plan on taking this on Power Tour, I can't have valves dropping into the pistons and exploding the engine and blah, 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 all that. So this, because this is a brand new engine with probably only about 700 miles on it so far. In fact, I just now changed the oil, the 500 mile mark. I did it at 250 and 500. Anyway, if I am to take this, I got to make sure there isn't something major like a valve operation that needs to be taken care of before I start driving this thing for many, many miles. And so what I wanted to do was a compression test. If I've got good compression, chances are that it's not a valve issue or a valve is stuck open or closed. And there's probably nothing, no issues with any of the rings. There's no blow by, anything like that that's causing the problems that preventing me from getting a good vacuum reading. So one more thing to cross off the list. Let's go ahead and test the compression. Because that's the only thing next I can think of besides an issue with the carburetor. So let's get to it. So yeah, I took off, let's see, 2, 4, 6. I took off number 6 spark plug, and it was not very tight at all. I mean, it just literally started spinning by hand. So I'm wondering if maybe that might be a problem. I don't know. Let's get the rest of it taken care of. So I've got all my spark plugs out. A little bit harder on this side. I actually had to loosen up the header because there was no way to get to number 6 without doing it, because there's this pipe runs down through here. These two are right here, no room in between. So I managed to get my socket back in there and get out number 6. So they're all loose. I'm going to wait to tighten that back up. So after I've done the compression, because I don't even know if I'll be able to get my compression tester down in there for number 6. We'll see. But these are all my plugs. 1, 3, 5, 7, 2, 4, 6, 8. They all look pretty normal, pretty consistent. Only 2 were gapped, maybe a little bit less than they should have been. But all of them were roughly at 0.45, so not the, or 0.045, not the issue there. But yeah, checked each one. They all have the same amount of wear, and all were gapped fairly well together, fairly close together. So quick run to AutoZone, because the one that I was using, my friends that I borrowed, well, it didn't seem to be working the best. This one's got the 14mm adapter. and knew everything, so hopefully I can try this and it will start for me, and it will be able to at least pump up and hopefully hold before I can get back and check it out. If not, I'll have to check the video every time. All right. Does this work well for anyone? Figured I'd try an easy one first. This is going to be a bear when I get to number 6. Alright, let's give that a try. Alright, so we're zeroed out. Alright. And it fell down. Alright, so it fell down, but it looks like we were up to almost 170. Alright, so I'll mark that down. Okay, let's try number 1. And looks like we're at 170 again. Okay, that one's a little down. That's actually just below 160. That one is just a little over 170. Looking at about 160 there. And almost 170. Yeah, like 168. Alright, so to get this one plugged in, I had to take the whole damn header off. I've got it up and out of the way, allowed me to screw it in down here, so let's give this one a test, see what we come up with. And looks like we're about just a hair over 170. So yeah. Now, just have one last one to check. And the hole is right down here. I'm going to try to thread it, but I have a feeling I may have to pull up that header as well. Got that one on. Let's check it out. All right. We are at about 170 there. So, alright, so whatever my timing issues might be, it's not my valves or the compression that's in the cylinders. They're all right around the exact same range. 160 to 170, 172 I think being the highest. So, my timing issue is not the valves. It's not the compression. It's not the pistons. There's no air getting through or anything else like that. So the engine itself is fine. The problem is in somewhere else. The one hope that I actually have is that spark plug number 246 that I had to take the header off to get to was pretty loose. It was not torqued down at all. And I'm wondering if when I put that back in, get it all torqued down, get everything all plugged back together, maybe that might have been my problem. So let's go. I'm going to go ahead and put all this back together, get the spark plugs back in, get the headers back on, all of that, everything tightened up, and we'll test it and see how it runs. Got everything put back together. Got the HEI plugged back in. All the plug wires, all the plugs are in tight, all the plug wires are on. Check the numbers. So hopefully we're good to go. Got the exhaust tightened back up, the header tightened back up to the exhaust down there. So I think I'm okay to give it a start. Okay, so I've gotten it warmed up, drove out and filled up the tank with gas. I've got my vacuum gauge hooked up down here. Got the advance blocked off here and here. And now I just need to check and see if anything that I've done has made any difference in my vacuum. Because as you can see, it says here, if you're down in the 5 to 10 range, late valve timing or leak at intake manifold or heat riser. So don't know what I've got going on, but I'm just still trying to solve this problem. But at least now I'm pretty sure that it's not the compression valves, that kind of thing. So let's go ahead and turn this on and see what my reading is. Full turnout on both sides. Still doesn't really change it much. This puts me at a turn and a half on each side. Let's go 2 little turns, see what it does. Seems to be getting a little worse. I was a little closer to 10 at about 1.5 hours. happens if I take out any of these plugs. Nothing there. Alright, I ripped it off, but accelerated off a lot more. See, if I cover that hole, it drops back down. I'm gonna have to replace this, but I'm pulling in a lot more air now. So there's something going on, I just don't know what it is. But I mean, it goes way up whenever I let this air in. Okay, one last thing I wanted to check. I know sometimes intake manifolds after break-in can get loose. So I went ahead and torqued down all the bolts. But the one thing that kind of surprised me, have you ever seen an intake manifold that doesn't have any bolts on the sides? Like there's two here, two back here, and two back there. So there's 8 total, but there's nothing between here and back here. There's nothing along this edge. This basically 10 to 12 inches from here all the way back here, there are no bolts. I've never seen anything like that, at least on an intake. I thought there were usually like a couple down, like 2 here, and then a couple, farther out. That is strange. I don't know, it's from Blueprint, it's their manifold. So they could have sourced it from somewhere else, but man, that's an awful lot of room to not have any bolts. I wonder if that is part of the problem. I don't know. Anyway, thought I'd share. All right, so another failed attempt for me to figure out my air-fuel ratio through the vacuum gauges for this Blueprint Chevy 350 that's in my 1985 C10. I honestly don't know what to do now. I keep saying that every time I do a video on this. I thought it would be a timing issue. It wasn't. I thought it would be a distributor issue. It wasn't. Thought it would be a compression issue. Checked today. It wasn't. And it's still doing the weird gauge reading right around 10. The only other thing I've done is like I said, just tried to torque down that intake, and that intake is bizarre. But when I do take off, there's one open plug on that carburetor, and when I take that off, it revs up really, really high. So maybe there's somebody out there that can get an idea from that and knows what that might mean. But I mean, you heard it. It jumps up good, at least 500 to 800 RPM. As soon as I pulled that little plug out, I actually tore it off. But anyway, yeah, so this is the truck I think I'm going to do the power tour in, and I'm hopefully going to be able to solve this situation before it gets to that date. But just kind of wanted to get started with this to make sure it wasn't a compression issue, it wasn't a valve issue. At least I know that that's not a big problem, because that's a big deal, taking off the heads and getting the valves right and all of that can if that was the issue, I wanted to find out right away. But anyway, thanks very much for tuning in. If you've got any ideas of what my timing issues are with this Blueprint 350, please let me know down in the comments down below. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next time.